we should have rescheduled. If so many people are on leave, then we shouldn't go ahead, you know? Because today, as I had said, we're going to do the last bit of the silent E book in the cake, but we are also going to do a new sound of the letter B-E-E,
Yes.
the double E. Now, and the reason we're doing all of these in detail discussions is because my experience of many years here is that very few people who learn English in school learn the details of why the letters make the sounds that they make. You didn't probably have any teacher explain in detail why sometimes the letter E is silent. Sometimes it says like elephant. Sometimes it says E if there are two of them. And sometimes it says E when it's also EA, like in beating retreat. So since that has never been explained to you before, that's what these training sessions were about. So you would understand it and be able to explain it to your students. So whatever we do today, we're going to have to repeat, particularly regarding the EE combination, because there is only one of the storybooks that focuses on that, the book that's called The Bee. Now for the silent E, we've had, what, 4 books that focus on that. So people probably have understood. But if this happens another time for the remaining sessions, I think we should plan to change the date till we get everybody here, because each one of the next books, number 6, 7, and 8, each one has a different letter sound combination, and only one book for each one. And then numbers 9 and 10 review many of them, but in a short, quick way. So we'll go ahead with what we were planning for today, but those of you who are very bravely here, probably when we meet next Friday, we'll take a few minutes to revise the story about the bee, and then we'll go on and do the one about the goat. The goat has the letter combinations OA, like in soap, boat. And that again is something you have to specifically teach children. That we already learned that silent E can make O say his name in hope. But what? Now in goat, it says O again, but it's OA and there's no silent E. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, what's that about? Definitely the students will be thinking it. So important work. One thing I noticed last week when we were going through the story, the last one called The Joke, I had not sent you sample cards for the day 5 teaching moment. So I've made those cards. I'll send them to Tapasya ma'am next time the car is coming out here, and hopefully she'll share them with you, and then you'll have a chance to make them yourself. So I'm just giving you the sample set. When the school has provided you with the ready cut cards, you know, whatever that size was that we talked about, 2 by 3, 3 by 4, then you can make them and try to use different color markers. So let's do the cake. This is the book, The Cake. And you call your group together and you show them the book and you say, this is a funny little story about a boy and girl, and they have a cake in their house. But when they went out to ride their bicycles, the dog ate some of the cake and made quite a mess in the house. And then we'll find out what the boy and girl did when they came back. So you want to be sure to introduce the story with the ending, because it keeps people kind of excited about what the ending is. But so now when you start using some of the vocabulary for the book, the kids have some idea why. Oh, I see. So Pam is the girl in the story. Okay. And Duke is the dog in the story. So you're showing the word cards. This says Pam. Now notice Pam is a short A sound. P-A-M, Pam, like Sam. Okay. Everything that we do is tied to revision of something we've already done. Sometimes it's tied to a projection of something that's coming, just to kind of make the brain come alive for that. So Pam is a short A. Now Duke, D-U-K-E, silent D makes you say his name. Name, word card, cake, like, ate, all of these are silent E makes the vowel say its name. So you're showing each word card, you're reading it, you're just showing it to the children, and then you're hanging them in a line, in a column on the board or the chart, whatever you happen to have. So the rest of the words are time, tile, made, write, wipe, ride, R-I-D-E, wipe, rose, cute, hose, use, bone, and gave. That's a lot of words. If we had just a list of vocabulary and we wanted the kids to learn up these words, it could never happen. But because all of these words, first of all, follow the reading and decoding rule, silent E makes the vowel say his name. Now they can read the word. And then they'll read so many times in the story that they'll get familiar with the word and remember it. They won't always spell it correctly. And if they write something, either in their journals or independent writing, it may not be always correct. That's okay. This is the first run with lots of different words, and maybe they have never seen the word wipe. They know the word wipe, but they've never seen it before. So it will take time for it to fully click. So you say each word, and you hang it up in a line. And the reason we're doing that is to keep the words that have a certain vowel combination separate from sight words. Then she says, what's the same about each one of these words? Somebody should say they all have silent E. Okay, so what does silent E do? Somebody should say it makes the vowel say its name. It'll be your lucky day if that actually happens. But, and if it doesn't, then you say it. It's okay. It just has to be said somehow. At this point, we have one of our many. Take the word card for have. Show it to them and tell them, this is the word have. But you know what, guys? Here's a secret. It has a silent E, but it doesn't give its power to the A. Isn't that weird? Have. It's not have. It's have. One of those crazy things in English. Be upfront about it. Since there is no logical, reasonable explanation that you can give, tell the kids, this is an exception. This is different. Happens sometimes. Now, the word have is so common. They say it all the time. They hear it all the time. You would have been using it in shared writing. You would have been reading it in read aloud. So it's not an unusual word. Just it doesn't follow the rule we've been talking about for 4 weeks. So you must point that out. Just happens. So now out loud. Read them silently. Made, make, they're hearing it and they're looking at it. That's enough to hear and see at the same time. Don't ask them to speak it. Let them listen and look in, out. So good. we'll need all these words for our new story. So here are your books. Let's do a picture walk to see what's happening in the story. So now each page, just give a 1 second summary. Okay, so here's Pam and her dog, Duke. Oh, look, they're running home. I wonder what, oh, I know. Jim had made a cake. That's why they went home. Nice. Pam ate some of the cake, not Duke. Well, now decided to go out and ride her bike. So Pam's going out. She ran to get her bike. Duke said, I like cake. Look, he tries to get some of the cake. Uh-oh, the whole cake fell on top of Duke. My goodness. Now Pam came home and saw the mess. Oh, my cake is a mess and the floor is a mess. We can use the mop. Going back to a short O sound. We can use a mop. Then Duke comes along. He's got cake all over him. Then Jim takes him outside and uses a hose to wash him down. And then something nice happens to Duke. So now I'm going to read the story while you follow and look at all the pictures. Okay. So they're looking at the pictures. You're reading the story slowly. Fine. Then if you're concerned that something hasn't been understood, you can ask a couple of questions or whatever, and point out the talking marks, because now we're making children aware that the quotations and the comma marks mean something. We're only calling them talking marks at this point. So just point that out to remind them that that's when the people in the story are talking. Now you whisper read while I come around to help you. And if you don't know something, what do? Look at the picture, look at the beginning sound, think about the story. If you have to say this every second or third day in every week, good. Because children need to know the strategies to use when they don't understand something. What do you do if you're reading an article in the newspaper and you don't know a word? All right, let's look and see if there's a picture. No. Okay, what did the sentence say again? Read it again. Oh, is there another? Oh, I get it. It's about that. You stop and figure it out. There's no point in going on reading the rest of the article if that main word is missing. So they finished reading. You've made your notes, as we said the other day, with our little, some kind of a chart or sheet or stickies, whatever works for you. And they go back to their seats because now today they're going to do this kind of worksheet. Here are the words, simple words. They already know these pictures from 1,000 usages in kindergarten. They have to cut out the letters from here, paste them in to make the word, and then write the whole word. There's a lot of involvement here. First of all, picture recognition. Oh yeah, okay, that's a cake. Okay, now I have to cut out an A and an E. Okay, oh yeah, okay. So now they stick it in, then they have to write the whole thing again. There's kinesthetic, there's the visual image, there's reading the word, and there's writing it. So they go back to their seats to do that, and you have your next group. Day 2, come on back. Give a quick review of this. If possible, you have looked at the children's work from yesterday, but maybe you couldn't look at everybody's. So you just from the pile pick out 4 or 5 to get an idea of how successful most of the kids were. And you can generally get an idea, a random survey kind of thing. If you find that there are many mistakes, you want to say, guys, we need to think again about this paper. There are a couple of things that were getting mixed up. And there's only a few kids who talk to them privately, but if a lot of kids were mixed up, this is pretty simple. But on any kind of thing where there's a lot of mix up, stop. Either have them do it over again or have them spend this lesson with you at the group figuring out what went wrong. You might as well fix it then. Because if there are a lot of mistakes, and for example, the activity for today, There are no clues. They have to read the sentence. Pam and Duke ran HMM. Now, if you see a lot of errors in what the children have filled in for these words, something's missing. Stop, review this page, get the children to think, well, okay, it starts with her. Where could they run? What did it say in the story? Oh, I think I know what it said. Pam and Duke ran home. So if they have the paper with you at the group, just give them a pencil, let them rewrite it, cross it, write on top, whatever you'd like to do, because there's no point letting mistakes go, because the mistake will stick just as quickly as a good thing will stick. Review the activity. Ask the students to read the word cards as the teacher points to them. So now they're reading it out loud. Duke, home, made, make, whatever. And now you have the sight word cards. You'll have to make these little cards. The sight words for this story are his, had, was, fell, mess, will, said, have, and my. You show the card, you say it, let the children look at it and think it. Many of these words they have already been seeing at the end of page E and already with you. They've been seeing some of it, like said and my. They're not any big deal words, but we want to highlight them. Always point things out. So what's the problem in this story, guys? What's going on in the story? Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. So he said there was a cake and the dog jumped up and spoiled it. Well, good, that's kind of what happened. Anybody else? It's okay if 2 or 3 children, and they may vary it slightly. Jim was sad because the cake he made got spoiled. It's fine. If it's in the general ballpark of what they should understand, it's good enough. And nobody needs to give a verbatim. They went to the park, and when we don't want to hear that. What do you think happened? If you speak in a normal conversational voice, you'll probably get them to speak that way. But for so many years, they have been trying to be so proper, they sound like little robots. We want real language. So how do Pam and Jim fix that problem? Yeah, that's right. They did that, didn't they? Okay. What would you do? Okay, that's a good idea too. How does Duke feel? Hey, we don't know how he feels. So any answer is a good answer. He's sorry, he's embarrassed, he's sad, he's happy, he ate the cake, it's okay, we don't know, and it doesn't matter what the answer is. Are the children thinking? Are they paying attention to the story? Could this be true? There's no answer to that either. We don't know. It could be true, except the dog couldn't have spoken. Could you make a cake and the dog messes it up? Yeah, it's possible. The partners now read aloud to each other. You're going around listening and making notes like you did yesterday. And then you explain the activity, which is, as I showed you, they have to fill in the long vowel and the silent E that comes at the end of each one of these words. There's no tricks. These are all silent E, but there's no guidepost here. There are no words at the bottom. There are no guides on the side. Kids should begin to operate on their own. And so now it's day 3. So they come to the group, you review this, and you review the words, including now the sight words, because they're all neatly listed there. What are you going to list them on? Have you thought about that? And how are you going to do this? Is there a bulletin board? Is there a whiteboard over there? Is there a large chart? What system will you evolve so that the cards are available to be seen, but sometimes you can take them off and then put them back? And look, my answer is a little technically interesting. It's Velcro. If you can get a strip of Velcro on your bulletin board or your chart or your whiteboard, whatever, and a bit of Velcro at the back of your cards, you can put them up and take them down easily without fiddling around with tack and tape and thumbtacks or glue or anything. So think about it. So now this time they're going to read the book in like a reader's theater. Somebody will be the book, somebody will be Pam, somebody will be Duke, someone will be Jim. So they will read it as a little playlet, as a reader's theater. And you may have more children in the group, so you may have to repeat it with different kids taking their parts. Why do we do this? Well, partly it's to make it more interesting. If you're just reading the book, reading it, okay, that's tiresome. Also, it helps them to highlight what is the spoken part as opposed to the narrator's part. So if I'm Pam, I have to watch for where it says, said Pam, and look for her talking marks. It is time to ride my bike, said Pam. And it's okay if they do the said Pam and said Jim, that's okay. Now it's Duke's turn. I like cake, said Duke. So there's more engagement, attention, and there's the paying attention to what talking marks are supposed to tell us. And I don't know, it's fun. It also sets the stage for later on in upper grades where they would actually do readers' theater as a presentation, perhaps for the class. Okay. Their activity for this time is putting the talking marks in the sentences. So it says here, put talking marks. I like cake, said Pam. So they need to put the talking marks and the comma. And how can they be sure? Well, they can go in the book and look right here on page 3. I like cake, said Pam. So they can look for it if they're not sure. And if they have understood the concept, just do it. Okay. By this time, they can take out that old game from Mac Gets Well, the matching games. Keep those handy. Keep them right where they're accessible to the children. Make multiple copies of it so many groups can play at the same time. It's definitely something that 2 can play, maybe even 3 if you have kids who get along with each other. And that's why you should laminate them, because they're going to be used over and over again. So put something in the budget for lamination. It'll save you and the school all the expense of cardboard and the labor of making these things over and over again. And so they go back to their seats and they read the book one more time to themselves. Day 4, come together. This is choice time. Each child can read any 2 words from either the lesson list or the sight words. Really try to do it this way. So everyone now can choose any 2 words that you think are interesting. Decide what your words are, 2 and 2 and 2, okay? Keep them in your head. And when you're ready, raise your hand and you can read us your 2 words. This is so much less threatening. Doesn't put anybody on the spot. So give a minute or half a minute. Okay, you have to think now, which are your 2 words? Ready to say them? Okay, I'm ready to ask anyone. Raise your hand. Great, why don't you start us off? Okay, so Amit said made, and he said well. Okay, those are good choices, thanks. Next person, who's ready? Good choice. Okay, that's good. Maybe some words will get repeated. It's not the end of the world. At least they're reinforced. If some words are clearly missed, you say, okay, everybody, if you're ready, you can whisper this word. Everybody ready? I'm pointing to this word. Good, you all know it says Duke. Nobody chose it. Okay, one more time. Very whisper now, don't say it loudly. Because first of all, that loud is no better than soft. And the rest of the class is working. So why do you want a group saying, said, well, whisper. So that way you can revise the remaining words that nobody chose. So you have a look at yesterday's worksheet just to be sure it's reasonably up to date. And now you've put 1 sentence on the, now this has to be already there. This sentence has to be there. You can have it covered. You can stand with your back to it. The sentence is, let's say, I can run home, said Pam. And so you're asking, how can we put the talking marks and the comma to show that Pam is talking? Anyone has an idea? Okay. You good? You have an idea. Go. Hold, don't say it, but good. Anyone else? You have an idea? Don't say it. Give kids a chance to think. We don't want the blurting out kid who knows everything in the first second. Give children a chance to think. Now there's somebody who's looking up and you're pretty sure he wants to talk, but he's shy or he's not certain. I see two people. Maybe you only see one, but say that you see two. I see two people who really do know it, but they haven't raised their hand yet. Would you like to try? Okay. Okay. Why don't you just tell us the first part? And you can tell us the second part. Try to embrace your children, bring them in. So you're not always calling on that kid who thinks he knows everything, whether he does or not, and always has his hand out, is always blurting out. So good. All right. So what should I do? Oh, yeah. I should open the talking marks here. Okay. Thank you for that. Someone else. Okay. And I should close the talking marks here because she stopped talking. What's that little thing I have to put? That comma? Does anyone know where it is? Good job. Okay. This is working out just fine. I'm glad you've been practicing them. Bas. How long did that take? Maybe a minute. So we don't have to stop and have a topic on quotation marks ever, if we just bring it in frequently. So let's see. I think I need someone to help us understand about Duke. Can someone tell some words that tell us about Duke? What kind of a dog is he? Now you're asking for adjectives, but you're not bothering to use the word adjective. Tell about Duke. Okay, yes, he's a dog. Oh, maybe he's a puppy. Okay, so how does he act? He's naughty. He's silly. He likes to run. Anything else? Oh, he likes to eat cake. Okay, he's messy. Whatever things tell about Duke are acceptable. I mean, if they say he's a giraffe, well, no, he's not a giraffe, he's a dog. But you're introducing the idea of tell about words without making a big deal about it. So how did you say that Pam and Jim clean up that mess? How did they do it? What did they get? They got a mop. Good. That's a short O. Okay. And then, oh, wow, at the end of the story, it says Jim gave Duke a bone. Why did he do that? Dogs like bones. Yeah. He wasn't allowed to have cake. Yeah. He wanted to make him feel better. Any ideas are good because the children have been asked to think of something. There is nothing in the story that says Jim gave him a bone because he likes bones. It says because he can't have cake. But why did he give him a bone? Dogs like bones. He can chew on it. He's not allowed to have cake. All of these are good ideas. Now the kids are going to partner read one page to each other, and you have time to go around and make notes. The activity for the fourth day is a bunch of words, which I sometimes don't like to do, but this is a discrimination activity. Across the line, there are words that have a short vowel and a long vowel. Now their task is find the magic E, first of all, and circle magic E words. So does this have magic E? No. Does this have, oh yes, so circle this. That's the first job. Circle any word that has magic E. Then color it red. Color that magic E red. They've been doing this before. And color the vowel blue. So first they will have circled cape. Then they will color the magic E red. Then they will have colored the long vowel in blue. So the eye is focused on this word over and over again. And that's one way for the word to become part of their memory bank. But they've also been focusing on silent E, long A, silent E, long A. Then somewhere here, silent E, long O. This is the This is the part where you're not teaching, but they are learning. Because who can do the learning? Only the kids. They're doing the learning at that moment. They read again on their own, and if groups or individuals have time, they can play the matching game. That option is presented to you because I know there's that sense that, oh my God, what will those kids be doing while I'm doing another reading group? Well, they'll have stuff to do. And I've just finished the upper KG handwriting section. I'll be starting on class 1 handwriting. So that's something exciting to look forward to. Day 5, everybody comes together. Now for this, you need that arrow, you know, the stick with the little red arrow at the end of it, because you're going to point to the lesson words, these silent E words here, and ask each child, you ask the children, choose 2 words from this list of the lesson words. So you can choose whatever word you want. When it's his turn, he comes up, he takes the arrow, and he puts it next to one of the words like make, and he says, Magic E gives his power to A and says, make, name, bone, whatever the other words are. Each kid gets a turn, and because they're holding the arrow, they're all excited. This is getting involved themselves in the activity. But they need to say, this is silent E, makes the vowel say his name, and then say the word. Last day of the lesson, they whisper read the whole book, just while you listen to them very softly. They're reading, you're listening. If you can't hear them, ask them to read a little louder, but they can't be reading so loud that the next kids are disturbed. You're making notes, and the activity for the last day is there's a bunch of pictures from the story. These are photocopied from the book. Now they have to cut them out, and they have to paste the picture in the box in the correct sequence. So what happened first? Well, let's see. Did they clean up first? Did the dog have the cake first? Did he give him a bone first? Did he make the cake first? If you're not sure that they can do it, then walk through it like this. If you think they can manage it on their own, let them go and do it. If you have another teacher in the room at the same time, tell the children, put your picture here, but don't paste it yet. Let's check before you decide. So just place your picture in the boxes, check that it's okay. And if the other adult can help with that, all the better. Then they have to write their own sentence about what's happening. So the first one is, so it can be Jim made a cake, or this is the cake, or here is a cake. It doesn't have to be copied. In fact, it's better if it's not. But if you have some children for whom fluency is still a problem, they can go into the book and they can get an idea. Now let's see if there's actually, Jim had made a cake. So if they decide to write that sentence, okay, at least they're writing something, they're seeing the words, they're making a connection. So that's okay. Those who can write on their own, please encourage them to do that. So that's the last of our silent E makes the vowel say his name books. So please ask me some questions about either the concept, understanding that silent E makes vowel say his name and sometimes doesn't in the word have, but it does in the word gave, have, gave. Sorry. Or questions about the lesson plan and how we're going to do it. Over to you. Okay, smiling at least. Waving. I mean, are you there?
Ma'am, we are doing this problem and solution part only with this book or with the first and second book which we have discussed last week, like Joke and Mag Gets Well.
I'm sorry.
Ma'am, this week we are taking this problem and solution part. You said that we discussed the story. Last week
Oh, okay. Well, you can use that question, what is the problem? Whenever you want to. I mean, these questions I have put in here are examples of the kinds of questions that you can start asking, rather than a question that says, what is the girl's name? What is the boy's name? We don't need to ask those kinds of questions. We need to go to what's called higher order thinking, more imaginative questions. So yes, in Mac Gets Well, the problem, okay, what's the story? What's the problem in this story? Mac is sick. You can, if you choose to do that, fine. It's a little more sophisticated question,
Yes.
identifying the problem. So if you don't think they're ready for it, the first couple of books, okay, save it. Some of the questions are quite ordinary, but some of them are a little bit, and there are times when it will say in some lesson plans, if you had a pet, what would you like to have? Tell your partner. Because we don't want everyone yapping about, I want a bunny, I want a bird. Just tell your partner. So it'll take only a minute or less than a minute. I'd like to have a bunny. No, I don't want bunnies. I want a cat. Good. Okay, everyone's had a chance to share their ideas. That's it. The point was to get them to think and talk. So you can help yourself by planning your question strategies according to the maturity of your class and their language function. If they can use language to do something imaginative, not literal, then do it. They're ready for it. Okay? Thank you. That's a very important point.
Like they are choosing two words. They have to choose any two words, one from word and one from magic word list. So they will choose their word on their own and then have to read. And this we are doing with the whole class or with that small group?
This, everything we're talking about is your group of 6 to 7 children. Everything. The number of whole group lessons, at least in English, will be very few. You'll have whole group for shared writing. You can have whole group for guided writing when you're just focusing on a couple of things. Whole group for read aloud. Not much else.
Suppose we have
because
suppose we have 36 students in our class, then we have the same thing 6 times in a day.
That's right.
In a day.
Yes. That's why you have 88 minutes. And that's why the rest of the class has other stuff to do. Now, there will be days when you will have to either make the lesson quite quick. And in fact, day 1 is always long because you're introducing the book. But as you can see, the others, day 5, I'm just looking at the lesson plans, day 4, day 3, you might be able to finish it off in 5 or 6 minutes. In the beginning, it'll take you longer and it'll take them longer. But when you get into the rhythm of it, it'll go much faster. So if you're starting on a Monday with day 1, and you won't always have day 1 on Monday, but if you do, then don't plan to do anything like a shared writing that day because the time will be too little. Do a shared writing on a day when you have obviously a shorter lesson, won't take so long to do. And if it will take you more than 5 days because you just can only get maybe 4 groups in a day, okay. Because these are rough estimates of how many weeks it will take to do this. There can be a hurricane and school is closed for 2 days. I mean, anything can happen.
Ma'am, what do you think? Is it practically possible for a teacher to take the same lesson, same thing, 7 times, 6 times in a day?
Well, it is possible. It's been done. And if you had smaller classes, you would have to do fewer lessons. But you have 36 children, and you have to teach all 36 children. Yeah.
Okay.
And the more pressure you put on your school to give you a support teacher during your language arts time, the easier it'll be for you, because you can concentrate on what you have learned, guided reading, and the other person can be monitoring the worksheets, the handwriting, the spelling program. Someone else can be handling that. Kids can even be doing their independent reading during that time. But I think somehow working out that an extra adult, even someone who's not so strong in the English reading part, can just watch that the kids are doing something correctly. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
What else? Other people? Doubts?
There are no doubts as such, ma'am, but what's my pick from so far is I like the idea of encouraging the students to uh, try to read and spell the words with the help of sound and not giving them the word just as if they are struck. And usually this is what we used to do. If the child is struck, they ask us, ki, ma'am, what is this word? So we read out to them. But now the trick that you have given is to encourage them to read it with the help of sound and try to make it out is my takeaway from
Well,
what.
yeah, exactly right. And that's hopefully everyone will feel comfortable to do that. But the reason you can do it and they can do it is from lower KG, they've been learning the sounds of the consonants. And they've been drilled on that. And they've spent a whole year in lower KG with the beginning consonants. And if you have the beginning sound of a word, there's a chance you can go on to the rest. But if you're looking at B-O-N-E and you don't even know what sound B makes, there's no hope. Okay, so now they've got all the beginning consonants and it's been reviewed in upper KG for the first part of the term. Then they got their ending consonants and they got their short vowels. Okay, so look at those literally thousands of words that now they have the key to unlocking that much at least. With you, they're beginning to learn how to decode the vowels. That's what this is all about. It's the spelling program and the reading program. All are focused on the same thing. And you might, as you look at this stuff more closely, realize that often the spelling program and the reading program are going about it at approximately the same time. Not 100%, because I thought that would make us completely crazy trying to align it week by week. We can't predict ourselves, never mind our children, that much. But if you introduce, let's say in spelling, silent E makes A say his name, and then the book also has that, great. Now maybe the next one will be silent E makes I say his name. That reinforces what we've already learned. So the spelling and the reading will be managing the same stuff, not week by week, but within maybe a month's period. Then you can say, oh, remember when we read the story of goat? Well, see, now in our spelling book, we have all these words like boat and toad and whatever they are, okay? So you've given them the key, like I'm giving you now the key to figuring out how to manage English. It has to be managed. You cannot just, okay, I got English. And that's why I'm sorry sometimes when various people are missing, because this is new for you. And you're so brave to mention it. Other thoughts? I am not so naive to think that Shika's problem is, oh, it'll be fine. No, I'm not naive at all. It will be difficult to do this program with the number of children you have. I know it. But making that effort and doing even 75% of it will produce children who can read. And we haven't had that before. That's why we are doing it. And so if it means that sometimes we don't get to do a shared writing, or we don't get independent writing, or we can't do a read aloud, yeah, it'll happen like that. But learning to read and applying the letter sounds in spelling are the critical pieces. So make time for that. And hopefully when school is open and we're a little bit more normalized, and I can visit and be with you during these lessons, I can help you figure out, okay, we can cut that, or we have to do more of that, or this would be a quick way to do it. That's what I should be doing with you when the time comes. Okay. I hope it's soon. Have you heard anything about when you might open your school? No. Okay, well, it's beginning to be talked about, so maybe. Okay, let's see, it's, yeah, we can go on to do the next book, which is called The Bee. I have a very boring looking copy, but this is it. Have you seen these books? Have you seen the worksheets?
Yes, ma'am, I have seen.
Everybody? You've seen all this stuff? Other people, have you seen it? No, I don't think so.
Ma'am, they have seen the lesson plans and books, I think, not the worksheets.
But not this.
Yes, ma'am. We have seen the books and the lesson plan.
But you have not seen the worksheets.
No.
Spelling program we have seen, ma'am. Worksheets of spelling program we have seen, not these worksheets.
Okay, maybe you want to check with Tapasya ma'am about that, because you need to be very familiar with what you're going to ask the children to do. And you know, the lesson plan only says, and give them the activity sheet. But if you don't know what the sheet is, how can you be mentally or even otherwise physically prepared for it? So I would ask for that soon.
Earlier also, ma'am, books were there on the drive, but we were not aware. So now we have seen the books.
So you have seen the
Now
book,
we
yeah.
check.
And you know, it's one thing to see it on the drive, and it's another to hold a book in your hand and really, oh, okay, that's what it's like. And in many cases, for many activities, I have taken the picture from the book to make it as easily connected as possible for the kids. I haven't used vague drawings or any nonsense like that. Okay, well, anyway, see if you can figure out where these worksheets are, if they've been put on the drive yet, or how they can be made available to you, because you all need the full picture. You've got 2 out of 3. And the lesson plan is brilliant, because I wrote it. I think it's fabulous. But it's very dull. It's static until you see the stuff that goes with it, right? It's like, what is that? What is that? So anyway, go for it. Let's do the bee. So the children come together and you show, this is, I'm sorry, it's not a color copy like this, but anyway. So this is our new story this week. It's called The Bee. And, you know, it's just really about a little bee whose name is Lee. And he tries to find some friends, but he has a pretty hard time. So we're going to find out what happened to him. So let's see, last week, I remember we were talking about the cake. And what was special about the word cake? Cake. Yes, that's good. Did you remember? And you remembered, and you remembered. Oh, I like looking around at all these people who remember. What do you remember? Silent E makes the good. Start them off if they don't automatically start. Whoever thinks they look like they know, good, I know you know, I know you know, I know you know. We don't want them shouting out everything. They don't even have to say everything. If they know it and they're thinking it, that's enough. Okay, would you like to say, Yeah, silent E makes the, yeah, it makes A or O, yeah, it makes the vowel say its name. Good. Not everybody has to answer everything. You need just to get a sense that, okay, now that we've mentioned it, do they all remember it? Okay, good. It just needs to be here in the children's head. So we did that a lot last week and the week before, but you know what today? We're going to learn another thing about the letter E. Okay. You notice I'm getting a little dramatic here? Because if you're not interested in what the lesson is, they will not be. But they're looking at you and you're like getting all excited about, huh? E's going to do something else? Whoa, what's going on here? Drama. Little bit of drama goes a long way. Don't be ridiculous. Don't get into your clown suit, but make it interesting. So we're going to learn about another vowel sound. It's long E, but we have to use two E's to do that. Can you imagine? Look, here's some of the words that we need for this story. Be, word card, Lee, meet, and see. See, they have two E's. So I'm emphasizing the long E sound. I'm making sure the children are noticing meet, see. I'm running my fingers onto the two E's. And I'm placing them here. So here's a little picture to help you think about that. Now, I've also sent this to you guys, so you should have one of them. Again, print it out, preferably on a slightly thicker paper. This is just a regular paper, and maybe laminate it because you'll be using it. And it says, it's a picture of two letter E's going walking. And it says, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. So the picture shows two E's, and the first one is making the sound of E, like in feet. This is a visual image of what you're trying to convey. We'll be using the same idea in a later lesson with something else. And then again, we're looking at Lee, see, meet, be. Review those words again. Now there's some other words we need for this story, guys, and here they are. So now these are your sight words, or they're just review words. Came, pie, P-I-E. If you think they don't know what a pie is, explain it as kind of like a cake, but they might know. Vine, that's a kind of a plant that grows up the wall. Fire, doe. Oh, doe is a female deer. And if you can sing those lines from this song, sing it. Doe, a deer, a female. Just sing that. Oh yeah, they'll get it right away. This toe met, hid him. These are your words. Please note that they review short vowels in hid and him, and they review came, silent E makes A say his name. Toe and doe rhyme, both are in the story. Vine, silent E makes I say his name. So the revision is built in. And this is a huge new concept, because I've seen in so many grades in your school, the month of February is spent in revision rather than in teaching and learning. Now, of course, some kids have learned it, so they're just sitting there being revised for no reason. If your revision is constant, then the children are learning it all year long and are able to apply it, and you can carry on teaching into February and March. You won't need to revise because they've got it and they're using it and they're showing it to you in their daily work. So just watch where the revision is constantly happening. So you remind children a doe is a female deer and what a vine is. And if you think pie or any other word is unfamiliar, you know your kids' vocabulary better than I do. So add wherever you think you need to. Good. So we're going to need all these words for our new story. So here are your books. Let's do a picture walkthrough. So we'll just look through the book. And you have seen the book, so you know that this bee keeps landing on places and people that don't want him. That's his problem. And finally, at the end, he gets a friend. Okay, so basic idea has been conveyed. Now I'll read the story. You look at the pictures while I read. You don't have to say anything. You read the story to the children. Point out the talking marks and the comma wherever there is talking on a page. And don't interrupt the story. You're reading it so that they get the idea of the story. When you finish, you say, oh, by the way, notice on the first page, I see these talking marks because look, said Lee. Lee is talking, and we know from the talking marks what he said. You've revised talking marks. So you pointed them out. Good. Now you will read the story again, and now they'll look at the words, which is why it's a good opportunity before you start reading. Say, okay, these are the words that we really need for this story. Lee, be, meet, see. And we need some of these too. Remember, pie, vine, dough, toe. We need these words too. Even if you don't read all of them because you're worried about time, pick the ones that are more or less new. Dough and toe are new to the children. Vine is new. This they will have seen before. So if you want to skip this, it's okay. So you read again, and they're looking at their words. Oh, so now let's think about this story. What was it that Lee wanted? What did he want? Actually, it says in the beginning, he wanted a pal. He wanted a friend. Why does the doe run away? It does not say that bees can sting. Nowhere in the book do they try to say that. So we have to imagine. I see a doe, said Lee. He sat on the doe, but the doe did not like Lee. Kids know that bees and wasps sting. So this is a thinking question. They have to go back to their own general knowledge. Why did the doe run away? Yeah, he didn't want to get bit. That's right. He didn't want to get bitten by the, so you're saying the correct form, even if they say the wrong one. And why did the man say go? Why did he do that? He also didn't want to get bitten. That's right. He didn't want to get bitten by the bee. He didn't want to get stung. Great. How does Lee feel at the end of the story? Do you remember that? You can look at your last page. How does he feel? Because he found a friend. He found a pal. So how does he feel? However he feels. Now you whisper read while I come around and listen to you while you're reading. And so you're doing that, and then you're making notes, and then they go back to their tables and do this similar activity. They have to cut out the E's, stick them to make the word, be, lee, see, meet, and then write the word. Same idea. And here, they just have to draw. But we want them to draw it so that we are sure that they know what the thing is. They have to draw a doe. I don't care what it looks like. It can look like a dog, it can look like a bird, but they have understood that it's something with 4 legs and horns maybe. A toe, a bee, a vine, a rose, a nose, a pie, a pal. These are all nouns that are in the book, in the story, and they can be drawn. And it's just to make the connection between what the thing is. Here's a picture of a nose, and here's the word nose. So we've got that. And you will be ready for your next group, same lesson, and it'll go much faster. Next day, each child chooses 2 words from the lesson words, the Lee, me, thing, and when called on, reads them aloud. If necessary, you can review some. If you have the comfort zone and the time, include all the doe and toe and vine and pie words as well. If you want to just focus on the double E words, that's your choice. If you realize your kids know most of the others, it's okay. If you're worried that they don't, then do it. When, where's my poster? So remember this from yesterday. So when 2 vowels go walking, what happens? What happens with this poster? Okay, so there's 2 E's. Do we say E? No, what do we say? The first one does the talking, and he just says E. So What do we say when we see a word like meat? Here's the word card meat. How do we say it? Meat. Do we say meat? No. So if you say something silly, it's kind of the opposite. And it's, oh yeah, we don't do that. Oh yeah, we wouldn't want to do that. That would be like kiddies. That would be like babies do that. Okay. Let them have a chance to see the possibly wrong way of saying it. So they can now say, oh, this is right. This is right. Let's see. Now, in the story, if you were the man and the bee, Lee, came to you, what would you have done? There's no answer to that. Anybody can give a reasonable answer. I would run away. I would hit him. I would scream. Anything is okay. You're just getting the child to think. There is no right answer, and there's no wrong answer. Which places were good for Lee to sit? Was the dough a good place? No. Was the man no? Was the pie good? No. What was a good place for him to sit? Oh, the vine, the tree. Yeah, because the vine didn't mind, did it? Now, partners will read the story to each other as you go around and listen. And day 2 activity is a little challenging. So you need to study this one before you get the kids to do it. There's a picture here, 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 and here. 4 pictures, but there are 6 sentences. 2 of them are wrong. Their job is to cut out the sentences and find the correct one and paste it under the picture. So here we have a picture of the doe running away from the bee. Let's see what the choice could be. The doe ran to hide. Ah, that could be it. So we're going to cut it out and stick it here. Then there's a picture of a man with the bee, and he doesn't like it at all. So let's see what choice it could be. The man said, go. Oh yeah, that's what he did. So cut that out and stick it. Now, the mechanics of this. Probably they will cut out all these little sentence strips. Good, cut them all out. Have them on the table. Then look at the first picture. Oh, that's got the doe. Where's there's the word doe. The doe ran to hide. Okay, I'm going to stick that over here. That's probably how they're going to do it. Then what's the next picture? Oh, that's that man with the, so, the man said go. Then they'll pick that one up and they'll glue it under that picture. Not only are the vocabulary words and the reading process important, but learning how to use this information. That this is the process. This is activity-based work. How do you tackle a problem? How do you do a project? Well, right now, they're learning one way to eliminate the ones that don't work at all. That doesn't work. Let me figure out the ones that do work. This is very sophisticated thinking, and probably they've never been asked to do it before. Except in kindergarten, they probably would have been asked stuff like, okay, point to the orange circle. Okay, which one is the blue? Oh, okay, well, this is blue and those are not blue. So that's good. But these are aspects of manipulating your learning to a useful end. Learning how to figure stuff out, learning to look it up on the internet or in a dictionary or an encyclopedia. This is the mechanics of how we continue learning. So this might be a little challenging, but it's not good. We can't keep giving them baby work. So they go back to their tables and they do that and they read the story to themselves. Day 3, come together. Review the lesson. Now, I hear long E sound in the word Lee, B, C, meet. What makes the long E sound? What letters do I need for that long E sound in Lee? So somebody should say EE. Many people should say EE. Okay, so wait a minute. What happens when 2 vowels go walking? Oh, the first one, what does he do? He does the talking, and the other one is silent. Now each child chooses one word from the sight words. this and pie and dough, one word. And when he's ready, he has a chance to read that word out loud. Because the other words, the EE words are only 4, they're pretty simple. So spend a little time on the sight words this time. Review the activity from yesterday. Just pick up 1 or 2 and say, oh yeah, I guess that's okay, that's good. Okay, Karen. Why do you do that? Because unless you look at yesterday's work, the kids are not going to think this work is valuable for anything. But, oh, today, she showed mine today. She showed mine today. Okay. Students whisper read the whole story, and you go around and listen to their performance. The day 3, so already we've hardly taken, 3 minutes for this lesson? It'll take them a few minutes to read, so maybe 6 minutes is all you're going to need for this. Activity here. Put the words in the sentences and circle the long E. And I've given an example of long E word and I circled it. Where possible, I show the kids what they're supposed to do. Here are the words at the bottom. They have to choose the right word and fill it in. So the sat on a, well, let's see. It could be the bee sat on a vine. Those words are there. The ran to doe ran to hide. So it's all here. These are sentences from the book. They can go back and check if they need to. Good if you have a helper teacher running around, keeping a little eye on how things are going. And they read the story with their partner after they finish their worksheet. So some days they read it by themselves and some days they read it with their partner. And you can decide that just because it says one of them here doesn't mean you have to do it that way. If you find that reading it silently goes faster on a day when you're a little short of time, then don't let them do partner reading. If you've got a little extra time and partner reading takes longer, then let them do partner reading. These decisions you have to make for yourself, but you'll only be able to make them after a few weeks of figuring out, well, how does this work? How does it go? So keep flexible, and for God's sakes, keep relaxed. This is not their MA final exam, okay? They're in 1st grade. Day 4, come together. Now, teacher has covered with some kind of a paper the EE words, covered the EE letters in the words from this unit, like Lee and B and meat and C. So you've just covered the EE part. What letters do we need for these words, guys? What's missing? That's right, we need EE. We need EE. Why don't we just have E? Because that says eh. But EE says E, long E sound. All right. Now, next part of the lesson is you give the second list of words, the sight words, you give 1 card to each child. He reads his card, and then he passes his card to the next child. So the kids are sitting in a semicircle or a line or something. So this is my card. Okay, my card says this. I've read it, I've said it. Now I pass it here. Now I get, oh, this says well. I read it, I pass it here. So the children are all getting a review of all of the sight words simply by getting a card from the partner, reading it, passing it. These are the non-EE words. Reads the card in turn, passes it left. Now each child reads a new word, repeat if necessary. Just one more way to have them look at their word cards. Review the activity from yesterday. Now, again, they do reader's theater, where each child has a part to read, the book and Lee and Doe, the man, Pat, and so on. Explain the activity for day 4, which is, again, a similar one. They have to cut out the pictures, place them in the boxes in order, and write their own sentence. So what happened first here? Oh, in the story, the bee sat on the doe. So that would be the first box. And then he sat on the man. So that would be the second. And then he saw a big bee coming. So that'd be third. And then they fly off together to play. And then they simply can write that. The doe ran. The man said go. He sat on a vine, or he sat on a tree, or they can play. Whatever they can write. And if they write it with a misspelling, it's okay. It is okay. If play comes out as PLY, it's okay, because this is not a lesson about spelling. And it's certainly not a lesson about spelling AY words, which is a whole other thing, which will come in your spelling, as a matter of fact. This is a lesson about reading and understanding and expressing what you have learned. This activity is about sequencing. Sequencing is an extremely important part of reading and writing. You'll be doing sequencing when you do shared writing, of course, because we don't start with, and we had fun is not the first sentence, that's the last sentence. So what's the sequence for the story? In any part of literature comprehension, understanding the sequence of the story is essential. Now, not so much for your class, but for the next, I mean, maybe by the end of first grade, there are more sequence activities. So sequencing, predicting, character study, problem and solution, these are all aspects of reading comprehension. I don't know if Dalbir has had any of those workshops with you and pointed this stuff out. She's very keen on reading comprehension. But you can start doing it with these very simple stories at your level. So take advantage of it. Okay, and so now we have the last day. Everybody comes together. Teacher points to all the word cards randomly, because after a few days of looking at them, they'll kind of memorize the sequence. So random. Students whisper their words to themselves. No one's shouting anything out. They're just whispering. If they don't remember a word, then they just raise their hand or even just put their finger up. You need to be looking at your group to see who's kind of, neither facial response, nor lips, nor finger, nothing. So maybe that kid is missing a couple of the words. So at the end, you're going to read all the words once more. Let's say you have 7 or 8 kids in the group. Definitely one is going to be missing out on some of the words. That's just how life is. Every now and then you miss a red light, okay? It happens. So it's not your fault, it's not their fault. It just takes some kids longer to learn than others. But don't miss the chance to now say those words. So maybe this time he'll pick it up. So why didn't the doe or the man or Pat like Lee? Why didn't they like him? He seems like a cute little fellow to me. Oh, yes, that's right. Because he might bite them. Yeah, or he might be dirty if he sits on the food. Yeah, okay, right. Good idea. There is nothing in the story that gives the answer. They have to think, they have to interpret, infer. Inference is a huge part of understanding. How do bees help flowers, by the way? So we can add a little bit of science or just general knowledge here. Well, how do bees help us? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because if they help the flowers to grow, then we have flowers. Yeah, if they help the vegetables to grow, then we have food. Oh, yeah, good. Sometimes you can go outside the story so that it has some real meaning. It's not just a stupid story about a bee named Lee. You can bring in something more worldly. Have a look at yesterday's worksheet just to acknowledge it. And then they partner read while you go around and listen. You have listened to the children read 5 times. You should have been able to make notes on at least once or twice every child, because you have those 2 or 3 minutes when they're, and you don't have to write an essay. Decoding going well, using a proper tone, is becoming more fluent. That's all you have to say. Or just write fluent, decode, tone. You just write the word, because you know if you've written it, it means it's going better. Or if you've written minus decoding, it means, oh, he hasn't got his decoding. Minus fluency, he hasn't got his fluency. And then worksheet for today, and they go back and read the story one more time. All they have to do here is put the talking marks and fill in the missing vowel sounds. So I hope I can, a pal, said Lee. Meet, he has to write this in. A doe, said Lee. See, the first letter is given, he has to fill in the missing vowels, double E. and put the talking marks. So that's being revised at the same time. Okay, so that is EE. Luckily, EE is a pretty simple vowel sound, and most of you probably wouldn't have a problem with it. But we know that there are people in our city who, when they see the word MEAT, are very likely to say met. So we know that they haven't learned the chance to understand it. I think meat is not so problematic, but meat is definitely a problem. And that lesson will come some other time. So, okay, questions. The concept of EE, anyone want to ask about why it's like that, or what do we do with it? Or anything about the structure of the lessons? Hello? Okay. Anybody? Anything? You're a very cooperative audience. Normally, certainly when I was doing things at the American school, there'd be a gazillion questions or comments or arguments or, well, why don't I? How come you're so polite? You see, I don't want your children to be so polite. I want them to answer and respond and be ready. I don't want them shouting out and making a cacophony, but I want them to feel that, okay, I'm allowed to offer my opinion. I'm going to say that I think nobody liked Lee because they were afraid of him. Nobody else said that, but I'm going to say it. That's what I want you guys to be sitting there right now doing that. Okay, you know, this is all right, but I want to hear the but that you're worried about.
Ma'am, I guess when we will be doing these activities in our real classrooms, then I guess probably then we can have more queries and concerns, because right now we are just, taking up the things in our minds, and we are waiting for actually executing them in our real classrooms. So that's why I guess we don't have much doubts and concerns.
You have the doubts and concerns, I'm sure. You just don't know what to do with them because you're not, the reality hasn't.
Has already shared with you, I guess that was for the strength, because we are actually thinking like will be like really able to perform these activities with such strength in our class. So I guess that is a major concern for all of us. But rest, I think everything is fine.
Yeah, I don't think the content of these lessons is difficult to understand. I understand that they are new strategies and new approaches and new emphasis. What I'm hoping you are thinking, maybe just all of a sudden when you're having a shower or a cup of tea, is that, oh yeah, we're really getting into the deep function and structure of the words. That's the difference. Because I've attended some class 1 reading lessons where the teacher read the book and the kids followed it, and that was it. That was it. And then at the end of the year, when they couldn't read very well, yeah, okay, too bad. So that's the difference here. And we are lucky that I happen to have these leveled phonics readers so that we can go into the detail now in class 1 and get that set. In class 2, they do another whole level of difficult letter combinations in English, like SPR, spread, spray. Now, your kids can't do that. They shouldn't be expected to. So yeah, you're right. It's the proof is in the doing, and hopefully we can hold hands and, while you're doing it. And we will be having to constantly revise and modify as we go along. I get that. The task given to me was to create this. The task given to you is implemented. But it's like an architect makes a beautiful plan, but as he starts building, he's, oh, you know what? We're not going to be able to put that balcony here. We're going to have to, so you have to make the changes as you go along, and we will, okay? By the way, I think it was Barca who told me a couple of weeks ago that you're going to have even more children in your class. Uh-oh, I see some smiles and headaches. How many do you think you're going to have?
Around 40, ma'am.
Yeah. This time the maximum strength was 42.
Yes, ma'am. 42 and even 44.
Yeah. But it got reduced. Yeah.
In class 1?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Without team teach.
Okay. Well, look, if you have 42 kids, then you simply have to have another helper teacher. I mean, even a sophisticated DD, and then some of the DDs you in your school are pretty with it. I mean, I've seen they've been there for many years. They've learned, even if they don't speak much English, they know what's going on. Or young girls from teacher training colleges and stuff like that. We're going to have to think of a solution to this. Because even if you are trying to do things the old-fashioned way with 42 kids, you're not going to reach them all. You'll reach 50% maximum. And the other kids are just paying the fee, wearing the uniform and coming there. And I think you know that, right? I mean, at the end of the term, when you give their evaluations, don't you see that a lot of children are not meeting the standard that whatever your grade level is? And a lot of kids are kind of like failing already with the old system. Who are you telling this to besides me? Yeah. I mean, you are, like in the army, the guys who run into the battle with the bayonets, the first line, you are the first line of defense. And if you're not out there defending the students, then who's going to take care of them? People sitting in air-conditioned offices, they don't know what's going on in the classroom. Right? I've been there. I've been one of you. Not with 44 kids, but you have to figure out the way when you have your whatever group meetings and stuff to say, we've invested in this new program, but with 40, even 40, forget 44, with 40 kids, we don't know how to go ahead. Let them answer that question. It's not for me to answer, but it is the question. You're all too afraid to ask it. Right? But that's what Ashika is there for. You bring it up, at least you can say how, yeah. Anyway, what else? What can we talk about that we can deal with? This we can't deal with. Has anyone talked to you about getting the materials you need, like chart paper and cards cut? Has anyone talked about that? No.
Yes, Tapasya ma'am
Yeah.
discussed the same with me.
Good.
Yes,
Okay, so some of that. All right. Okay.
yes.
And the term you're in now finishes in the beginning of March?
Yes, ma'am. 12th March is the last working day for the students.
And the new term would be early April?
5th April. Yes,
5th.
ma'am.
So you have like 3 weeks in between, which is that a vacation for you or is it work time?
PLD days, professional
Okay.
learning.
So
days,
professional
training.
learning, you've been doing a lot of learning. So those are the days when you should make these materials that you're going to need. Even if we don't start regular classroom activity in April, even if we start in July, start making the stuff so that you're prepared. A lot of your anxiety is that, oh my God, where's all this stuff? How am I going to keep it? Where am I going to put it? Deal with that question now. You can. And then when you have your May and June holiday, you can have a holiday. Okay. Next week we do the goat. What else do you want to talk about?
Next week we have this session on Thursday.
Yeah,
right?
oh, that's right. We moved it to the 11th. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. But let's be sure we have everybody there. And if you have too many people absent, let's change it to another day. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
There's just no point. I mean, I can do it. I can do it every day. I don't care. But it's why waste your time and then have to repeat stuff? And then those people miss out a little bit. Maybe they missed out the questions or the discussion. So, yeah. Okay. I wish I could hug you guys. I wish I could give you a little more confidence and peace. It's going to be fine. Okay. Right. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.